So here are three things I learned from spending a lot of time in spiritual communities. The first thing is that they're really nice and loving for the most part. If you're new to spirituality, you can really enjoy the love, the camaraderie, and the connection that can come from being in spiritual communities. You feel like you've woken up. You feel like there's a relaxed nature around the conversation, and there's lots of flow, and kind of anything goes, right? And in that welcoming, it's addictive. And in that addiction for me, there was this resistance to challenging the status quo, where you could see things that were out of integrity and you wouldn't speak to them because I was afraid of being cast out of the tribe. So the second thing about being in spiritual communities is it's a great place to network. It's a great place to meet people from various walks of life, from the corporate sector, from the healing arts, to the arts, to government, to... It really does collect an eclectic bunch of people. And in all of that, it can be really interesting, the conversations that you can have. Very interesting, the kind of conversations that you can have. And I might actually take it to four things. In that, there can be a reluctance to look at our responsibility and how it contributes to our life, particularly when authority is involved. So depending on how spiritual that you can be and how deep down that rabbit hole you lose yourself in, taking ownership of our life, ownership of my life, can be a real challenge. There's an over-reliance on feelings. Like, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel this, I can't do that, feeling, right? And feelings are really important, and they aren't factual, they are based on your life experience, and some of it can be who you really are at the core, and some of it can just be a bypass. And the other thing that I see in spiritual communities is the temptation to bypass. Use spiritual practices to bypass reality. And there's something that I like to say is some people are so stuck, some people are so attached to clinging to positivity that they suffocate reality. In spiritual communities, there can really be a stench of positivity. Like, it's so sweet. Sometimes when you walk past someone and their perfume is so sweet and you're like, damn, that's potent. I find that can be in spiritual communities where an indication to the reality of the situation can be avoided, whether it's a sexual predator in the group, or incongruence, or placing people on pedestals because they form pillars in the community, or they're a singer or a dancer, or you need them for an upcoming workshop so you don't speak to the out of integrityness. And in all of that, like, spiritual bypasses can be identified over time. You just see them. They're the ones that loop in trauma, the ones that continuously use positivity instead of confronting their reality. And these people are, for the lack of a better phrase, dangerous, because they don't look at what their impact is on everybody else around them, right? They're unwilling to take ownership. And someone who's unwilling to take ownership tends to not step in when there's an emergency, tends to not step in when they need to change their life, and has this entitlement that everybody else needs to help them, right? Everybody else needs to help them sort their life out. As a pattern, this is beyond an anomaly, this is a pattern. So the things that I mentioned there are all adaptable, they're all remediable, and it really boils down to an individual's choices. Do I want to be part of this anymore? Because in order for someone to step out of a spiritual community, they need to let that part of themselves die. The part of themselves that's always felt like an outcast. And they may have felt like an outcast in their family of origin, which tends to feed into their experience at school, and then high school, and then university, and maybe the workplace. You just feel like you're a bit of an outcast. And this is an instinct injury that causes this, which is remediable. And if you're someone who loves to stay in spiritual communities and you're poor, you feel unfulfilled, and you bounce between festival and drum circle and sleeping on someone's couch or van, then there's another option available to you, and it requires you to confront your reality. And confronting reality can be very painful because it means that you need to take responsibility for all of your actions. including the relationships that you've chosen, the beliefs that you've carried, and your financial and educational decisions up to this point. And there's a new life available for you. Doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, the older you get, the harder it is to change your behavior. And it's still possible, depending on how ready you are, how willing you are to die to this older version of yourself. So if you're someone in a spiritual community, enjoy it. Really enjoy the company and the laughs and the camaraderie and the connection. But in the long run, be mindful that the people that you hang out with infect you, they influence you, they can corrupt or rebuild your belief structure. And sometimes your belief structure prefers to take the easy route. How can I make my life easier? Sure, I'll just sell all my things and live in a van. Or, I'll just start smoking dope. Or, I'll just go to a drama circle every Sunday instead of planning for my future. And it's a choice. While you might think that you live forever, you don't. And the sooner you start to take radical action and own your life, the sooner you can find partnerships and friendships and ventures that really bring out who you are at the core. So if you don't trust yourself, then you're not going to find what you're looking for.